No matter how perfect someone may seem, everyone has skeletons in their closet. Sprocket started in the SCC, which stands for Slideshow Commentary Community.
Happy birthday!
The community is even older than the gameplay commentary community, but most people don't know that because they never really became big. Before they had originally drawn avatars, they used characters from media. Most of the time they'd even use PNGs of these characters. This community is almost as old as YouTube itself. A lot of people came and went over the years, but none of them have stuck around longer than Ponder. Even before I started my first channel CO author, she was around. I even joined a Google Hangout with her before anyone knew who we were. She showed me this cute little Batman Superman animation she did, and it made me realize that she had genuine talent. Unfortunately, she wasted it. But before I get into all the bad stuff Sprocket has done, it should be noted that Ponder has done a lot of good things, and they shouldn't just be discounted because of her mistakes, such as her helping to expose Cosmodore, defending Spoctor back when he was innocent, along with Dolly Guts as well. I think we all need to give her a hand for that one.
That's very funny, Buzz. This is serious!
Because of this, tons of people have looked up to Ponder as a guiding light despite her protest. She was put on a pedestal, and a lot of people saw her as an objective person. According to herself, she didn't really like the spotlight, but she wouldn't be in the center of everything if she didn't make videos on things that were guaranteed to get her a lot of views. She really milked the first Spoctor drama, and the Madame drama for as much as she could. And when I say she milked the Madame drama, I mean she really milked it. Whether it was her intention or not, Ponder caused harassment to be sent to a minor for over 4 years. Despite how many times she was shown to be in the wrong, she did not correct her mistake until shortly after my first response came out. In my first response, I directed people to Akumu's second video on her. She took the video down at long last, now that the broader commentary community knew about it. Yes, that was all part of my plan all along. Or maybe I'm just acting like that to sound cool. The point is, I think my video really shook things up. So what was the lie Ponder told about Akumu, and why did it go on for so long? You might have heard of the Madame drama, where a Leafy clone who called herself Madame attempted to dox a minor who did artwork for her for free. After the artist talked a little shit about Madame, she attempted to dox the minor's phone number, but luckily it was a fake number from a free phone calling app. Even users like D'Angelo Wallace got involved in this drama.
D'Angelo Wallace made an entire Twitter thread about me and then quickly deleted it when it was proven wrong, and then when I pointed it out, he's ignored it ever since. He's refused to address it. D'Angelo Wallace quote retweeted that tweet sometime around the 27th with a thread tagging Slammers and claiming I was going to dox her. That's where this tweet comes from. It was D'Angelo's reply to someone who replied to his thread. Unfortunately, he purged all of his tweets regarding this, which is rather strange, though there are some remnants I was able to find to prove it at least once existed, such as this person and others who replied to his initial tweet.
Akumu, back when he was 16, made the point that Madame didn't dox Slammers. She just attempted to dox her. Yes, this point was super autistic of him to make, but he was a minor at the time, and he was also a super small channel. I think he had less than 100 subs at the time. As someone who has also tried to set the record straight on people who were getting hated on by the commentary community, I know what kind of stuff Akumu was dealing with. He was called a simp and bashed by much bigger channels than himself.
These people said that I worshipped Madame, and yet I never talked about Madame remotely in a good light, nor have I called her my queen. Oh, this boy is not ready for the hell he has now brought upon himself. I had really hoped the Nezzy/Ponder videos would have convinced him to keep quiet, but then again, that would require him to possess a level of restraint he clearly lacks. Break out the popcorn. Ponder, Sprocket, and Nezziemonster never lied about anything, lol. What did they lie about? Also, I hope you react to their video because they do have many good points in there. Don't be offended by this comment. Yeah, why am I bothering with this? Look, I know this was dead for 4 months ago and feel free to ignore, but why do you keep pushing on that you've won and they've lost, but then chicken out or ignore them when they state valid points that have been debunked numerous times? I say numerous because you push the same point onto them that this is the truth and shit. Ponder and Nezzy gave good criticism and have debunked your claims in that 2-part co-op commentary, and the 2 or 4 hours they have made, they gave you an easy way because of your age. I know you hate your age being brought in here considering you've kept saying my age is irrelevant and stuff like that, but Jesus, you're 4 or 3 years fucking older than me, and yet I know better than that.
People twisted what he said multiple times in order to make him look as bad as a person as possible. The smart thing and the normal thing for everyone to do would be to ignore his video. After all, he was a super small channel. But they wanted to talk about the Madame drama more, and his video was their excuse to do so. It's almost like they did this for clout or something. They took Akumu's 32-minute long video and made over 2.5 hours worth of content out of it. Out of everyone who spread lies about Akumu, Ponder was the biggest by far. She had roughly 100k subs at the time, and he had around like 100. No, not 100k, just 100 subs. They falsely accused him of trying to dox Slumers, who was a minor at the time, when in reality he was just trying to confirm a claim someone was making about a court case.
Instead of letting the intro play out, Nezziemonster and Ponder decided to dissect it, claimed that I'm cutting context, lying by omission, and then attempted to provide the context I supposedly left out by using my other tweets to piece it together, coming to this grand conclusion that I was asking others for her dox information or to dox her for me. There's a multitude of issues with this. One, he deleted a bunch of tweets.
Because Akumu thought it would be a great idea to remove the tweets that these people were responding to.
And when we say remove, we don't mean he didn't put them in the video. He straight up deleted them. Hiding something, Mr. Edgelord?
I deleted a singular tweet. My responses to everyone else about the tweet were not deleted. How fucking stupid do you have to be to push that I'm trying to hide it when the only tweet I deleted was the original? All of the others could still be seen. 2, they conveniently interjected before this tweet popped up, this tweet from D'Angelo Wallace, a tweet that is very much a part of the context they claim I left out. And then when they do show it, they gloss over it.
I expect this dude to defend himself with age because he states he's 16, but that doesn't make this any better.
It's so much worse. This person that's giving out her county is such a stand for this other YouTuber, Madame, that he's trying to dox the girl for defending herself against Madame. This crossed over from being internet drama into legitimate child endangerment. Feel free to report.
I didn't catch this until now. D'Angelo Wallace, a channel who has an extreme amount of subscribers at the time, told people to feel free to report a minor's Twitter account. This video isn't about him, but it shocked me that he got away with this. Now I know what you're gonna say. Come on, Jar, he just said feel free to report, not that they should report his account. This is clearly a dog whistle to his fan base to report Akumu's account, an account that later got suspended. Gee, I wonder why.
Imagine being this ridiculous, doing and saying stuff about people that have nothing to do with you instead of living your life and let the drama settle down instead of fueling the fire.
For the full context that Ponder doesn't cover here, FCK Jamesy, formerly OMGIJ252, a member of the FCK, released a video on September 15th of 2019. His video criticized Madame, and as usual with any Madame video that came out at that time, going over the great terrible sin of art theft, among other more genuine criticisms. The importance of this video is that it contained a screenshot of a document to counter one of Madame's talking points regarding Slumers' sexual assault story. Some details were blurred out, and others such as the case file number in the county were not. I went to Twitter on the 26th of September and asked for anyone who knew how to look up legal documents to message me, stating that I was going to look into Slumers' case but didn't know how to find legal cases. This is even supported by the screenshot Ponder showed. I simply asked someone to message me as I have the case number. I also have a screenshot of my original tweet that I deleted from Fuchsia Butter's video, uploaded March 12th, 2020, 5 days after Ponder and Nezzie's 2-part series dropped.
Ponder gets two people who I have made videos on before to read out some of Akumu's tweets. But does Slumers think that what Akumu did was doxing? After all, the victim's words should hold most weight.
The icing on this shitcake, Slumers herself, my supposed victim, because everyone has to be a victim or a harasser in the eyes of this community, also thinks the whole doxing claim is bullshit. When I brought a screenshot to her of Kai Weiss claiming I attempted to dox a minor, referring to her, she said, looking for a court number, I think that's what it is called, isn't doxing. It just shows that the case exists or shows info about said case. So the doxing is a lie at this point. And yet, since 2020, many people have ran with this lie and accused me of trying to dox a minor, whether it be other FCK members, content creators like Hidden Mitsuru, who claimed I tried to dox a child in the chat of the fucking gender debate that I had with Bunk, and she's either retarded or pulling shit out of her ass. Mushroom Girl.
Ponder and Nezzie spoon-fed this shit to you, but apparently you're still gonna fucking double down on your disgusting bullshit, you obsessive, disgusting bullshit where you asked for a minor's docs information.
Kai Weiss, or just people in the comments spreading this lie. So on top of blatantly lying, we have spreading misinformation to the masses. Spreading misinformation is something a lot of people got onto me for. But when Ponder, Sprocket, and Nezziemonster did it, no one said shit.
Yep, not even Slumers agrees with the claim claims that Ponder and her friends were trying to push. When the person you are defending doesn't even agree with you, you know you made a bad video. Or I guess in this case, multiple bad videos. Thanks to Akumu's Twitter being falsely struck down, it led Ponder and Nezziemonster to make up whatever BS they wanted about him.
Nezziemonster admitted in the FCK server that they started working on these videos in October, and as you'll find out in a moment, they started before my account was suspended. There were multiple tweets of mine that they would have seen in my feed, clarifying that I was not trying to dox Slimmers, including the one that I just read. Before anyone tries to argue that my Twitter was later suspended, so she likely didn't see it, my account was suspended in October, and she admitted that the scripting of their videos was done before my account was suspended in part 2.
Also, didn't she block you because you were basically harassing her on not only Twitter, but also Instagram?
Which begs the question, if you were so in the right and Slimmers is totally at fault for not responding to you as you wanted, why are your comments deleted? Something to hide, maybe? Mind you, this was written before his Twitter account was taken down, which it has been, for harassment. So now the comments are gone because his original Twitter account is gone, but originally it was because he had removed them. I don't know why, it's not like you stopped being a dick at any point in time.
In short, they falsely accused Akumu of trying to dox someone, and then once his Twitter was gone, they lied about him, trying to make it look like he was hiding stuff before his Twitter got deleted.
Why doesn't she mention D'Angelo Wallace in his thread, the progenitor of this claim of doxing, or James and his involvement, the source of the information I was looking into, the guy who made the information public? Why did they leave James out of the first video when he's most important in it, only to talk about him in the second, and only subtly admit that he made it public?
For another, not only does this ignore the context of the tweet where you were apparently, according to you, directly asking people to send you Slimmers' dox information, or at the very least, information so personal that you could have used it to dox her, you're also ignoring that apparently the information you were able to get came as a result of a bad censoring job on OMGIJ's part.
Here's something a little more obvious. Blatant difference in looking into information versus releasing it.
Yep, it was James who doxed Slimmers by mistake. Akumu was just trying to look into things more, and the ArtCC flipped out over it. It's like the Antunes drama, but before the Antunes drama even happened. Now some of you might try to take all the blame off of Ponder and say it's all of Nezzie's fault. After all, they are very hated right now, so they make a great scapegoat. The problem is, Ponder took a few of the screenshots used in the video herself. Let's not forget that this video was on her channel. That makes her the leader of the project. If I had a bad video like this on my channel, most of the blame would be put on me.
Ponder, Sprocket, and Nezziemonster gathered the screenshots of my tweets from my Twitter account themselves. Ponder admitted this when I asked her in our call. Take this screenshot, for example, from just earlier in part 1, showing the Twitter thread with Nightburn7 on September 27th of 2019 at 8:37 p.m. You can even see in this screenshot that Ponder is on her own account, so it was her who took this screenshot for the video. This means that the two of them, at the very least Ponder herself, scrolled back to September 27th in my Twitter feed or timeline.
Akumu confronted her about this in a VC. She just chucked it all up to mistakes and claimed she didn't know how it could have happened.
I deleted one tweet, which was the main tweet, and then September 28th, I released a tweet explaining why I had deleted it. And you said that you all had went through my Twitter feed and gathered the screenshots before I was suspended, but none of those tweets ever appeared in the video. The only one that appeared in the video was the one that was cherry-picked from the thread.
I can... hang on. I'm gonna... oh, wait, shit. Did I already collect these together? One sec. I'm gonna go through my documents and see if I still have... no, of course, I already fucking... ugh.
I mean, to be fair, it's been like 3 years, so I get it.
Oh my god, has it? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I barely remember what I had for dinner last night. I'm sorry, my memory is not the greatest.
No, it is what it is.
Yeah, the most I could say from guessing is that it may not have been a tweet that I saw. It's either that or maybe I'm wrong about where we got the tweet screenshots. Yeah, I'm not sure because it's also I'm not usually online most days. So whenever there's stuff going on Twitter, there will often be like one day where I'm really involved and I get all the screenshots. and then I'm completely offline for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. And then everything that's happening in those 4 days, I miss. And then like if the account's suspended in that time, I'm just screwed.
In my humble opinion, there's no way this was a mistake. Ponder clearly did this dishonestly. But even if we want to call this just a mistake, then she should really be careful when making drama videos, especially at her size, going after someone so small, someone who couldn't even defend themselves properly. But again, this wasn't a mistake. She herself admitted to watching his Twitter closely, up until it was suspended. She would have to scroll over all the tweets where he was talking about why he deleted his first tweet. If he was trying to hide things, then why would he tell people where to find it? She also skipped past the point where he clarified he wasn't doxing. They tried to use the fact that Akumu's Twitter got suspended to lie about him deleting more tweets than he really did. This is something they thought they would never get caught on, but they did. This really shows just how snaky they really are.
In part 2, there's even a wall of text stating that same thing as they accused me of deleting another tweet. Obviously, it would be to make it look like I was trying to hide my actions, to make me look malicious or nefarious. It's almost like I wasn't deleting anything to hide anything, huh? Really, do you think I'm that fucking stupid that in me trying to apparently delete it, I wouldn't delete the conversations acknowledging what I apparently said? Why would I not delete the rest of the replies if I was trying to hide what I originally said, okay? That's the first issue, which makes no fucking sense, and somehow people bought that. Hold on, what's that? Is that a current date? But Ponder, I thought I deleted it. Ponder always does her research. Surely this must be a mistake if I can see it. This can't be. I must be delusional. Or, hear me out, she's a fucking liar. She said it herself. This was written before his Twitter account was taken down, which it has been for harassment. That statement removes any plausible deniability. If the script was written before my account was suspended, they would have known it wasn't deleted, yet they claimed otherwise. I can still find this tweet on the account while it was suspended, and even now that I have the account back, meaning that I never fucking deleted it. She stated I had removed them before my account was suspended. Ponder is claiming she's seen that I had deleted it before my account was suspended, and yet the tweet is still there. She can't fall back on the suspension for why she made this claim, because her claim is that I deleted it before my account was even suspended, continuing in his efforts to hide them by deliberately cutting them out of the beginning of his video so that he can make the claim that people were getting on his case for no discernible reason. It's almost like since part 1, Ponder's been heavily pushing the idea that I deleted tweets to hide my actions. I deleted one tweet and explained why, and yet that has been stretched far and wide to misrepresent the events.
Ponder also does that super common drama tactic of putting a comment on screen and using it to make a point, even though the comment goes directly against the point she is trying to make.
Nani, I'm just popping in here to say, I'm sorry that so much of your video was used here. It's kind of ridiculous.
Funnily enough, she wasn't credited either until she had to point it out.
Maybe you should have read Nani's comment. Finally got around to trying to watch this video after I DM'd you so far. Nothing new or nothing helpful has been added to the video. No offense, of course, I didn't realize you used this much of my video in this, so yeah, you should totally link it in your description, lol. I didn't care at first, but I didn't realize that you meant you were going to use multiple minutes of uncut audio and video, so her comment mentions that we spoke in DMs, and that she didn't think I would use this much, and that I should credit her. Before my video was released, we spoke in DMs. I offered to add her in the description, and she told me, I'm sure it's fine, no worries. But hey, insert whatever you'd like regardless of the context. At this point, you all have made it pretty clear context doesn't matter.
She did this again by claiming that Akumu was removing comments for not being too nice, when the comment she herself shows on screen made it clear he was removing comments from people who were lying about what he said in his video.
It's not because she knows these people that she's willing to talk to them, it's because they were polite in approaching the situation. You were not. Even when Creepshow Art contacted Madame to get her side of the story—
Hey, just coming in here real quick to say, I did not expect Creepshow Art to be brought up in this video. I swear, every drama is connected to another drama in this community.
She started out cordial. Why? Because immediately jumping in and acting aggressive doesn't make people want to open up with you. Indicating that you were willing to listen to each side of the story fairly does, and this is not something that you conveyed when addressing Slumers, evident by you literally calling her the dumb artist everyone is talking about.
You yourself even claim that when people get aggressive with you, you return that aggression, so why on earth you thought it was a good idea to start aggressive with Slumers
Slumers and then, oh goodness, be shocked when she wasn't immediately polite and clambering at your feet so that she could confess her guilt is baffling. Akumu has even acknowledged that he's removed comments from the video that we are discussing, likely because they weren't too nice.
In your own screenshot that you put on screen that you had the entire time you were making these videos, I literally gave you my reasoning. None of the comments were deleted because they weren't too nice. I was very open about the criteria of what would be deleted. Comments that lied about me or my video were deleted.
One of the best parts of the video Ponder and Nezzie did is when they said this about Slumers.
Even if you want to argue that Slumers had a big audience and therefore should be used to this attention, she isn't used to this much negative attention.
Negative attention that was an attempted directed harassment campaign.
If I were her age, I honestly wouldn't know how to handle a person with 3 times my following on a more popular platform attacking me either. It's possible that she just wants this situation to end and is trying to detach herself from this while recognizing that Madame is still majorly in the wrong. Heck, you could argue that she knows that her audience won't listen to her regardless and is simply choosing to detach herself from that.
I would like to argue, on the other hand, that unlike what Akumu is claiming, Slumers is not actually trying to direct harassment towards Madame. Slumers makes note within the post that she feels that the only way to get Madame to stop using the art is to pressure her into stopping via comments, indicating that she's doing something wrong. But she also ends off by stating that what Madame is doing is not allowed. You read this as exclusively talking about the fact that Madame using Slumers' art without paying for it is wrong, but it could be read as all of what Madame is doing is not allowed, which would include attempted doxing and directed harassment, meaning that Slumers is not condoning or encouraging that behavior.
Granted, it's a possibility. Just like her potentially posting something that could be perceived as what you're claiming, it could also just be badly worded. Again, it's a possibility, as well as what you're claiming.
So that's 3 different possibilities to consider and no proof for each because this is based on interpretation of a 15-year-old's wording. In case you hadn't figured out from us deconstructing your asinine pedantic complaint against people using the term art theft, because the term you try to replace it with is basically just a synonym, yeah, teenagers don't often word things the best. Oh, but we do at least have solid proof that your accompanying accusation that this point was the inciting reason for the attempted dox was bullshit.
Gee, it seems like both you and Slumers don't know what the fuck you're doing half the time. Like most teenagers.
So, let me get this straight. A 15-year-old getting attacked by a bigger channel is bad, but a 16-year-old, which Akumu was at the time, getting slandered by a channel several dozen times his size is okay. What? There's a few other examples of bad things Ponder did in her video on Akumu, like playing his video out of order, constantly misunderstanding his points over and over again, but you can watch Akumu's video for more context. Also, it's not a good look that Ponder at long last took down her video, now that people outside of the ArtCC are joining the community. Back in 2017, when I met Ponder for the second time, she made 4 videos involving me with a thumbnail that makes it look like I'm about to get SA'd. Look at that face, I do not look like I'm enjoying it. I don't care about what people do with my avatar in their thumbnails. It's not me, it's just the character I use to represent myself. But people from her community, many of which are her friends, would for sure flip out if I made a thumbnail like this about them. Replace me in the thumbnail with Mal and replace Ponder with me. Can you just imagine the level of backlash I would get for doing something like that? But the point I would like to make with this video is that she twisted a point of mine in a way that I couldn't wrap my head around. It was a point involving the fetish of one of her friends.
That's going to be a running theme throughout this video. I'm going to be constantly saying, no I don't, or I never said that.
Oh no's! Alleged controversies surrounding someone that in no way affect anybody else, nor do they affect the quality of her content. The very horror!
Sweetie, you might want to keep watching the video, because my problem isn't that she has a diaper fetish. Now, does Doodletones have a diaper fetish? The answer is, I don't know, and I don't care. If she does or does not, I wouldn't think any more or less of her.
Which is why it's so necessary to bring it up.
Literally, the next part explains this. What I do have a problem with are the people saying, oh, what do you mean Doodle has a diaper fetish? Oh, where did you get that from?
I'm kinda sick of the bitchware meme at this point.
Are you serious? Right here.
The fact that people legitimately believe that Doodletones had some kind of a diaper fetish is so monumentally stupid that it's almost not even worth talking about, but this is the guy surviving the internet, and we cover internet history, so we have to talk about it. Needless to say, everybody ran with it, and it earned her the embarrassing nickname Doodle Diapers. And no, I don't know who came up with that. It was either Jesus with Bazooka 79 Lives or some other stupid troll.
This was in the fucking video. How the fuck did you miss it? You even put this clip in your video. My argument had a beginning, middle, and end. I explained everything. I showed a guy denying that there's any evidence that Doodletones has a diaper fetish. I showed evidence that she does have a diaper fetish, and I even explained that her having a diaper fetish is not the problem.
Yeah, Ponder really has a habit of sweeping for her friends and downplaying their actions. Come on, Jar, this video is several years old and you're still butthurt about it? Actually, no, I don't really care. I'm just bringing this up because I'm going to establish a very clear pattern of behavior with Ponder. A pattern that has been going on for nearly a decade. If you have been following the Doodletones drama, then you would know about the George Raccoon situation. He was a groomer and Doodletones defended him, yet Ponder still left a positive comment underneath the video. Once it was pointed out to her, she quickly removed it, and acted like nothing ever happened.
It's almost like a bunch of people who throw out serious accusations aren't actually qualified to make these accusations. Now, when I was shown this comment, I was like, this is divine comedy. This is beautiful. Because this was written a year after her several videos falsely accusing me. So I took to Twitter and I tagged her in it. Less than 24 hours later, and she's deleted the fucking comment. You know, the same person that lectured me about deleting comments 3 months after I stopped doing so, who accused me of deleting tweets to try and hide my actions, has no problem deleting tweets and deleting her own comments because they make her look bad.
I won't lie, I agree with Ponder, but not in the way she thinks. I gotta give her a high five and a handshake for that one. I love that she removed the comment when she falsely accused Akumu of deleting tweets to hide what he was doing. It turns out all this time she was just projecting. One of Ponder's friends during the Toby drama made multiple videos, some of them were about me, and he kept on bringing up Black SpongeBob, acting like it was the most racist thing ever. It's literally just a black PNG of SpongeBob. Someone, that being Call Me Nil, found out that he drew Cub Corn 5 years ago, back when he was in his late to mid-20s. Bro forgot to remove the stuff off of his Ink Bunny account. Never forget about the Ink Bunny, or the DeviantArt. He claimed it was due to him being SA'd as a child, and this was his way of coping. Needless to say, I and others had a hard time believing that, but Ponder showed up to defend him. Now listen, if you were SA'd as a child and you need to draw Cub to cope, that's one thing, but posting it like he did is another thing. A lot of people draw to get out their frustrations, but it's not necessary for them to also post it. When Spoctor got cancelled for the second time, she confirmed that she knew what he did, and she told him that she wasn't going to defend him this time.
Spoctor came to me, basically being all like, yeah, I'm gonna be exposed for having CP. And I did not like that conversation, and I had to run this by Chuli, because Chuli reminded me of this. I didn't remember it happening. Weirdly, you know, when you don't remember something, someone could be all like, oh, actually, you remember this? And when they bring it up, all of a sudden, those memories can come back. I fucking love that about the human brain. But one of the things that I did immediately after Spoctor came to me was I went into a call in my server with my friends, told them what Spoctor told me, and I asked for advice. And you wanna fucking know who was in that call and who encouraged me to just let Spoctor get exposed and let the video gain traction? FeGhost. FeGhost actively told me that it was not my fucking job, that I was already too stressed, something, again, all of my friends knew, basically, that I was stressed as shit.
I myself knew about Manus's video, and I disagreed with it. But I didn't know about him holding on to the nudes of a 13-year-old past the point he turned 18. But with the way Ponder is talking, it sounds like she did know, she just didn't tell anyone and attempted to cover this up. This is yet another example of her knowing something bad her friends did and trying to downplay things. But despite how angry she may sound in that call with Lyle Convoy, believe it or not, she only kicked Spoctor from her Discord for 1 month, and then she let him back in because, a minor asked her to.
If you have paid attention to any of Heaton Mitsuru's drama with Colin in the past, which stemmed from her drama with Joseph, then first of all, rip your sanity, and secondly, you might remember that she mentioned how Colin was confronted in Ponder's server.
Now, a conversation got had in Ponder Sprocket's Discord server with him and our resident lore master, Aaron Tempest. Aaron took a lot of the same issues I did and wanted to get Spoctor's thoughts on it. Also, preemptively, I did get permission to share these screenshots from Ponder herself, so all of you who are going to try and use this as an argument, you can shut up.
The same server he had left in light of the allegations, meaning he at some point was allowed to return. Now, honestly, I feel like a fucking idiot for not putting those two dots together sooner, since one of the people Colin talked to while making the video Heaton got so fucking butt mad at was me. I was freshly dealing with coming forward about Liam and getting tone policed by Heaton and her doers of crackers bidding, and Colin asked me about what the deal with Liam was actually even about, since it was pure fucking chaos at that point. That was the only time I had spoken to him as an adult in that server, as any messages after were from when I was no longer really present because I had been successfully victim shamed for my abuse situation. So, when the fuck did he get back into the server? A month after he had admitted to having the drive with CSCM on it, and it was at my suggestion. I was a fan of his at the time, and trying pretty hard to be a good friend to him, since I naively thought at the time that he was a really sweet guy, and I had also been poisoned beyond belief by the adults around me, including my groomer, that the things Colin did were just stupid, easily forgivable mistakes that most make at some point in their lives. So I took it upon myself to reach out to him and see if he wanted me to get him back into the server. We had a talk that I die a little bit inside over every time I read it, and then I reached out to Ponder to ask him to let him back in. Now, I would hope that any 27-year-olds out there might hear this and think that, in her position, the correct response would be to firmly shut that request down and explain to the minor that they're talking to a dangerous individual, because that is the correct response. However, Ponder let him back into the server, and he was welcomed with open arms. There is grace to be given to a certain extent, given what Ponder was dealing with at the time, but it doesn't excuse Ponder from not making the obvious decision to publicly disavow Colin for what he had done, especially as the person who publicly defended him to the point of saving his entire internet career. Nor does it excuse the rest of the people in that server call not saying anything either. However, what truly nothing can excuse on Ponder's end is allowing Colin back into the server just a month after the call took place, discussing his admittance of keeping a drive with CSCM of a 13-year-old on it past his 18th birthday. And worse yet, inviting him back at the minor's behest.
Now, I'm one of those people who's a bit iffy on the whole Spoctor situation. On the one hand, he could be totally innocent and just forgot he had those nudes. On the other hand, he could have kept them past the point he turned 18 and realized, oh shit, I'm an adult now, I should probably get rid of these. And on the other hand, he could be even more guilty and is still holding on to those nudes to this day. In my video on him, I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. Unfortunately for him, he just ran away from the internet, which made him look totally guilty. But with what Ponder said to Lio, it sounds like she thought Spoctor was 100% guilty. Yet she still allowed him access to minors. What the fuck? But believe it or not, there's still more bad things Ponder has done, and this is not even the worst of it. Akumu revealed a recording where he told Ponder what was happening in the FCK server, and she did nothing about it or tell anyone about it.
Okay, so here's screenshots from the server, and then here's... because she screenshotted herself doing it to show it to her friends in the server. This was back in 2020. And then she also, sent the copy pasta that she was putting in there. But I made a meme
I was about to say, that sounds like that, oh shit, what is it? There's like a really popular one where it's like the ergonomic air support or
whatever.
No,
this one's a bit more degenerate.
Okay.
So...
what's this white... Oh...
Yeah. Mind you, this was after she called me a child. So, a little odd, I'm not saying anything specific, but it's a little odd to, demean me for being a child, and that I'm just a 16-year-old, and then go and do that.
You don't send this to a fucking...
Well, and then there was Lucy's video, which was, Lucy's video started off with saying, the verbal abuse that Madame gave Slumers was bad. Okay, that's fine. And then the rest of the video is Lucy calling me a cum chalice, that I have a cum guzzling ego, to suck the what was it? Pink pube dick or something like.
In the most homey way possible, choke on my transsexual pink pube dick. You spineless, honorless shit puppet.
I have a whole montage of that too. I'll upload it on my video. Mind you, in Lucy, here's the thing. In the video, Lucy refers to me as the most paranoid child on the internet. And then at the end of the video, steals your and Nezzie's joke, which Nezzie stole it from Zizi, but whatever, which was telling me to stay in school. Now, whatever, it's kind of funny, whatever. But here's the kicker. When I brought up that Lucy clearly was aware of my age when making the video was then taken down, and then in a Twitter thread, which is still up to this day, Lucy says, I was not aware of his age when I made the video. Really funny is Mad Libs announced that she was, leaving, dropping the Mad Libs art persona right after I announced that I had the FCK server and the entire thing archived. So coincidence, I don't know, but no, they had James in there who was 16 at the time. Slimmers was 15 at the time. They had no problem sending porn in there. Lots and lots of. In fact, they would tag them to show them porn. And that included Mad Libs. Nezzie didn't. She made a joke about it, but she never participated in it. And then that included though Mad Libs, Lucy especially, Toasty very much. He had a huge Futanari kink thing going on. But yeah, no, they had no problem, showing it, sending it in there. There's also some really, okay, as they're, releasing these videos on me and plotting, scheming in the server, talking about how fucked I was, how I have no recovery, all that stuff. But mind you, these are the same virtuous people, okay, that said that, what was it? Oh yeah, the standard was, it's wrong to gang up on, a minor. It's wrong to do that. You can't, that's bad. You don't do that. But we can do it if we can have him not be liked. It just doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, it's a whole mess.
Ugh. I don't know how. I imagine, was this like a frequent thing?
It was very frequent.
Ugh.
It was very frequent.
I sent a porn, and I didn't even know it was porn. I thought I was sending a piece with 2 robots in suits. Unbeknownst to me, there was another version of the piece that I had seen before, and that's the one I was thinking of. I had found a different version, which had a dick in it. And I didn't know that because it was a black robot in a black suit.
Yeah, no, this wasn't accidentally, oops, sent porn. This was we're spamming the chat with porn and then making memes about spamming the chat with porn. And then...
I did that once when a minor wasn't even there, and I felt so bad about it. What the?
Well, when I asked Nezzie and Doodles about it, their argument was that was just the environment Toasty had, but it wasn't only Toasty doing it. Sure, you could say that he set that environment up, but that was going on for months. You could leave. They didn't leave until post the death of that group. But
listen, it's not required for anyone to expose their friends, but to talk to no one about it is very suspicious. She could have passed this information along to someone else so they could do something about it, but she didn't. She could have asked for the FCK logs from one of her friends who was in the Discord, but she didn't. Apparently, Ponder protecting Slimmers from a 16-year-old who wasn't trying to dox her was more important than calling out her friends for what they did in the FCK, and more important than calling out Spoctor for holding on to the nudes of a 13-year-old past the point he turned 18. And lastly, it was more important to her than to call out her friend who made the claim that they SA 2 trans women and pushed one of them into committing self-deletion. No, I didn't stutter, and this was happening during the exact same time she was calling Akumu out.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Now, at long last, we are getting into the worst thing Ponder has done. Her friend and editor FeGhost told her that she, back when she went by a he, yes, they are trans like half of the people in this corner of the internet. She, that being FeGhost, confessed to SAing 2 trans girls, traumatizing them so much that it pushed one of them into offing themselves years down the line. The story of SA doesn't sound like FeGhost just squeezed one of their titties a little bit. If someone was traumatized so much that they ended up offing themselves, it sounds to me me like what FeGhost described they did would have been legally classified as grape. Apparently, this story was made up by FeGhost so Ponder and the others would cancel her. But surprisingly, or unsurprisingly depending on how you look at it, Ponder never decided to call FeGhost out for this. This was not a recent thing that happened. This happened all the way back in 2019, and Ponder kept on being friends with them and would even pay them to edit their videos. Now I want to make this clear. Around this time, Ponder was going after Akumu while ignoring what her friend did. Ponder had a good reputation. FeGhost being associated with Ponder caused their own reputation to go up, and it gave them access to multiple people who could have been their next victims. Years went by, and finally, at long last, Chuli, someone over a decade younger than Ponder, finally called FeGhost out. I want to make this clear. It was Ponder's friends who came forward that FeGhost SA'd two people, and traumatized them so much that they offed themselves. If Chuli never made that video, Ponder year after year after year would have kept FeGhost around. Yikes. I pointed this out in my last Spoctor video.
I wouldn't say Ponder would do that because that's not really in Ponder's nature.
Yeah, Ponder's not gonna like an exposed video.
Oh yeah, FeGhost, you know that Ponder won't out people all too well. Like, didn't you make up a story about you sexually assaulting two trans women, which pushed them into committing toaster and bath or something? And then Ponder, Dulu, Izzy Hazard, and a few other people just kept their mouths shut about it for the longest time? Yeah, that was a weird thing that happened.
They flipped out about it. Chuli even twisted this into me mocking their trauma, but Chuli is very well known for twisting what I say.
That detail was not poorly conveyed. You just fucking watch the video on mute with your eyes closed. This is not a valid point, this is not a valid excuse, and you and your friends are the only ones who somehow missed all the important details in my video. Even fucking Jar, shit person as he is, got this detail right in his sick and twisted joke about FeGhost lies at my expense and at my friend's expense, and you know why? Because it was clear as day in my video.
Well, guess what? I wasn't actually making a joke. I legitimately thought it was weird that you guys knew about this for years and said nothing about it. I wasn't even attempting to make a joke here. You guys were covering up for a rapist. I just thought it was weird that you guys got away with it. No one made you do it, you did it on your own. I think this was purely said to distract from what they did, and they know it. I said this to Cinny, yes, that's Cinny, in our full unedited call. She thinks I'm racist and I think she's a apologist.
Oh, what? Is there a backstory behind that?
Hello, Ponder. I'm FeGhost. I two women and caused them to kill themselves. Oh, okay, that's cool. You can still edit for me. Based and red-pilled, Ponder. And I was like listening to that like being revealed. I was like, no one cares about this? What? Am I the only one? But Lio still took this part out because he just loves to sweep for people. Ponder and her friends literally admitted to knowing that their friend raped someone and kept it hidden. Yet everyone acted like this was no big deal. Hell, people were even comforting them, even though Ponder literally financially supported a rapist. I know the term supporter gets thrown around a lot, but this is literally supporting. They're financially supporting someone they thought was a rapist. After looking over everything in a row, I think I established a very clear pattern of behavior. Ponder has friends who do some of the worst things ever, but she acts like it didn't happen, downplays them, or covers them up. If this happened once, that would be one thing, but I have multiple examples of her doing this shit. Lio Convoy has called out people for being friends of a rapist, but not someone who thought they were friends with a rapist, which means Lio himself is friends of a rapist. There's hypocrisy, and then there's this. I see now why those two get along so well. They're both sweepers. Ponder can't walk back on the FeGhost stuff and act like she didn't know. They told Ponder what they did to her face, and she tried to keep it hidden from everyone. Ponder will and has made super long videos on people who have done less than FeGhost. In fact, she's never called out anyone worse than FeGhost in my book. Even hypnotist Sappho. Say what you will about her, but at least she didn't rape anyone or traumatize someone up to the point where they off themselves. By the way, just want to come in here real quick to make this clear. I'm not defending Sappho. She is a pedo zoophile, but they're not as bad as a rapist murderer. Both are bad, but one claimed that they went through with committing the crime, while the other one was in the process of committing a crime. She let FeGhost stick around her Discord, even after she learned about what FeGhost did. Of course, giving FeGhost access to people to use. Ponder isn't as bad as what FeGhost said they did, but the fact that she covered up for this evil, and the fact that she's done stuff like this multiple times cannot be ignored.
Kept him around as an editor, had him voicing in her videos, and she even paid him to help keep an eye on and get information on the people she was covering, like Madame. So her not caring about the Spoctor situation like she previously pretended to a month prior, I'm not surprised.
This makes me wonder as to what else Ponder knows, and what else she is hiding. After all, a lot of her friends from Doodletones to Nezziemonster and more have been outed for their wrongdoings, and it just makes me wonder, did Ponder know? Go rewatch Ponder's video on Cosmodore. Throughout the video, she downplays what he did, and she even says that he has a chance to make a comeback even though he tried to meet up with a minor and sleep with her.
Cosmodore does have a few good points to bring up, and it's essentially because he's arguing the big faceless audience mob, which he later says he doesn't want to argue, which tends to exaggerate claims to the farthest possible degree. A lot of this is literally just centered around the audience collectively just not understanding the terms that they're using. In this case, the term would be pedophile. Cosmodore is right to call out people calling him this, because they are objectively wrong.
Ponder? He groomed a 15-year-old and sent her lolly and shota. I don't think there's a more fitting word to call someone like that. Unless, of course, you're going in the whole direction of it's a femophilia, not pedophilia, but I really hope that's not the point you're trying to make.
However, even if Cosmodore argues he's not a pedo, which he's not, anyone claiming that is a moron and needs to reacquaint themselves with the definition of the word, assuming they've even read it to begin with. I'm so sick of this word just being thrown around at everything.
Yes, people do throw that word around like candy, but he did the two big no-nos on YouTube. You can make the argument that grooming a minor doesn't make someone a pedo. You can also make the argument that looking at lolicon doesn't make you a pedo. After all, a lot of people do refuse to call Vouch that word despite what he did. But doing both at the same time seems like it's something that no one would argue against. Yeah, he didn't just look at lolly, he didn't just groom a minor, he did both at the same time.
Cosmodore isn't a pedophile, but he put himself in an inappropriate relationship with a younger fan.
A 15-year-old minor who sounds like a little kid. No joke, this girl sounds way younger than the average 15-year-old.
From the perspective of everyone on the outside looking in, it looks like you're just trying to worm your way back onto your channel. And you know what? I'm not gonna blame you for that. I think it's fucking stupid that you tried to do it within a month, but I can empathize with the mentality of wanting to fix things as soon as possible. Frankly, I think it's super naive for people to believe that people who get called out for things like this aren't going to return at some point. We're not talking about chasing people off of hobbyist platforms. We're talking about removing people from platforms that, in many cases, serve as their main income, and in some cases, the person is addicted to. It's incredibly naive to assume that people can just up and leave that whenever they want. I mean, you're effectively demanding that they fire themselves. And in situations where you want someone to improve through therapy, it's counterproductive to force them out of their income source. Obviously, this is especially with Americans because of their shit psychological stuff. I don't know how it works in Germany.
No, obviously she's not saying what he did was okay, but the one rule on YouTube is that you can't come back from grooming a minor. And no, he didn't just groom her to be more comfortable with his fetish, he groomed her so he could sleep with her. That was his intention. Ponder seems to have no problem with calling me a racist.
Like, I also don't like Jar. I am also of the opinion Jar's a fucking racist. Doesn't mean going around saying shit like this is okay.
I haven't looked into it. I'm not going to say that. Ponder's
fair.
opinion.
I'm only going off personal experiences.
Like anyone else who has called me that, she has no proof. She claimed it happened in an unrecorded call. According to her, I was asking for help dealing with Prismate Luke. Then I just started saying objectively racist things. But she still apologized to me for calling me racist. Yeah, she called me a racist when I was dealing with pedo allegations. That's a pretty low blow in my book. Ponder, if you truly thought that I was racist, then don't apologize to me for calling me racist. That would be like me apologizing to you because I called you someone who financially supports pist, but I would never apologize for that because that's what you are. But you know what? I'll just roll with it. Yes, I did say the most objectively racist things of all time. I showed her that I was working on an airborne disease that would wipe out anyone who is not part of the master race. And believe it or not, she just giggled and said, "Don't worry, Jar, I'll keep your secret safe." life. Hashtag that actually happened. She complained to me about her life a lot as I was getting cancelled. Normally I'm against leaking DMs, but since everybody has been doing that with me, I think it's my turn to do so. If your life sucks so much, Ponder, then try to get a job or a wealthy boyfriend and move out. I get it. It sucks that your dad left you, and your boyfriend cheated on you, and you got no job, but spending time on the internet all day every day can't be good for you. Yes, Ponder is in her 30s. She's older than me, and she has never lived on her own, mostly due to Canada having their liberal policies. She just spends all her time talking to autists on the internet. How her DMs read with me is that she wanted to be friends with me, but she was surrounded by people who didn't like me, so she just couldn't. Ponder animated me as a sexy elf boy, shaking her hand at VidCon, and she did this all 1 year later after it happened. She kept me anonymous until I got cancelled. Yeah, apparently animating me shaking her hand was more important than, I don't know, calling out a pist. They tried to say I was the one who revealed this. Unsurprisingly, they have no proof to support this claim. They just love to spread misinformation about me. Cartoonchi said he hated me because I violated the boundaries of his friends. By that he means I shook Ponder's hand. Also by friends he means people who cover up for rapists. With friends like these, who needs enemies, am I right? Oh, you raped someone? That's fine. What? You shook my hand? You violated my boundaries! Honestly, in my book, if you're friends with a rapist, then you have some of the strangest boundaries of all time. Ponder, along with her friends, defended themselves by claiming that they were mentally ill, they didn't have the best home life, and FeGhost would have killed themselves if they left them.
I'm sorry, did you not make a fucking video talking about how you were fantasizing about raping girls that you made up while you were hanging out with me? Yeah, that was nice to find out. Cool. Thanks for that, you fucking freak. Like, the nerve of being all like, oh, I was a bad place. I was planning on killing myself. Motherfucker, what the hell do you think your actions and what you made us believe wanted us to do? Do you not think that maybe we were lying awake at night, wondering about, do I have any right to exist? 'Cause I'm gonna tell you flat out, that was the case, and that's all your fault. So, go fuck yourself.
How is it that Ponder believes that her friend FeGhost raped 2 people up to the point where one of them committed self-deletion, and still yet made it all about herself?
You came in talking about how you wanted to kill yourself so we would goddamn coddle you, and for everybody in chat, that was a recurring thing. FeGhost guilted us, one, through the suicide, but guilted us into keeping her around through the implications that if her friends left her, she would kill herself.
Yes.
That's why we kept her around for so fucking long. Because we already thought that we'd led to someone ending their life, and we were terrified of that happening again.
Really? Because it sounds to me like you guys truly believed you pushed an SA survivor into offing themselves. And if you guys outed FeGhost, FeGhost would have outed you guys for what you did. My god, this is like some supervillain shit.
FeGhost starts this shit up again with another person who was allegedly still in the same camp as Jess, and then tells us, oh yeah, Jess may have had a point. I did sexually assault 2 girls at a party when I was drunk. So, oh, also, Jess was schizophrenic. And so now it became not only that, like, we helped FeGhost and that encouraged someone to game end themselves. Now it was, we bullied a schizophrenic sexual assault victim into game ending herself, and also FeGhost was lying the whole time, and actually she totally had reason to call them out.
And fun fact, I just thought I should point this out. The account that she's on right now is from December of 2019, during when this shit was happening. So she has another alt that she made from that time. How much fucking time do you have, bitch?
You have messaged me on alt accounts as well. I was the first person you messaged.
Oh yeah, 2 months after I made my exposed video, she contacted Kylie on an alt account saying, FeGhost is walking outside in negative, 10-degree weather and I'm so worried about them. Can you contact them? Do not fucking act like you have been on your own shit for the past year and a half.
Here's the thing, if one of my friends told me that they raped 2 people so badly it made them commit self-deletion, and then they told me if I left them they would self-delete, I would tell them to make sure the rope was nice and tight when they jumped. Or at the very least, I think I would stop talking to them. I could understand a teenager, or even a young adult falling for the "I'm gonna KYS if you don't do this" card. But Ponder is in her 30s, or at least her late 20s when this happened. Don't forget, she paid FeGhost money to edit for her. She was funding someone she thought was a rapist. I know I keep bringing this point up, but it really bears repeating.
Oh, FeGhost also used to talk about how she couldn't afford therapy back in the day, but when I offered to give her money to go to therapy, she refused, so I started actively trying to hire her for editing more so that she would have the money to go to therapy.
She had no problem calling me a racist when I was in the middle of getting pedo allegations, but she still kept what FeGhost did hidden. If you want to take Ponder's word that she truly is mentally ill, and thought her rapist friend would KYS if she left them, even though that sounds like a pretty good outcome in my opinion, then Ponder's word should not be taken as gospel. She has gotten so many things wrong that I don't think she should be making drama videos. Ponder is a person who draws a line at racism, but not rape apparently. She didn't even have proof that I was racist, but she did 100% believe FeGhost was a rapist. To tell you the truth, Ponder, ever since you did your first video about me, I wanted to be friends with you. I got even more respect for you when you went against the crowd and defended Spoctor. Sure, you were kind of wrong in the end, but based upon the evidence at the time, you were right. But even when he more than likely told you about holding on to the nudes of a 13-year-old past his 18th birthday, you said nothing.
Spoctor came to me, basically being all like, yeah, I'm gonna be exposed for having CP. And I did not like that conversation, and I had to run this by Chuli, because Chuli reminded me of this. I didn't remember it happening. Weirdly, you know, when you don't remember something, someone could be all like, oh, actually, you remember this? And when they bring it up, all of a sudden, those memories can come back. I fucking love that about the human brain. But one of the things that I did immediately after Spoctor came to me was I went into a call in my server with my friends, told them what Spoctor told me, and I asked for advice. And you want to fucking know who was in that call and who encouraged me to just let Spoctor get exposed and let the video gain traction?
FeGhost.
FeGhost actively told me that it was not my fucking job, that I was already too stressed, something, again, all of my friends knew, basically, that I was stressed as shit.
Wait a second, so you were actually thinking about defending Spoctor again, but then you were talked out of it by FeGhost. How does this make Ponder look good exactly? Of course, this was said right in front of Lyo, and he's not questioning anything.
FeGhost told me, it's not your responsibility to protect this fucker, which, yeah, obviously, and just encouraged me to let the video happen and let Spoctor be exposed. I don't know why the fuck that video didn't gain any traction.
Well, that's because it was a terribly made video, Ponder. And also, man, it's never made the allegation that Spoctor was holding on to the nudes of a 13-year-old. He didn't know that. You guys did, and you all kept quiet about it.
And eventually, because of the trauma you put me through, you stupid motherfucker, I forgot about that shit, because incidentally, that is how the brain works. When you're depressed and stressed and traumatized, and you smoke weed a fuck ton, and you have fibromyalgia, all of which are things that I have. Yeah, it's really easy to forget things.
Ah yes, the very famous commentary amnesia argument. Listen, I don't expect Ponder to remember everything she's ever done. After all, I forget things all the time. But this seems like something most people would remember.
FeGhost was not perfectly fucking aware that she had convinced Chuli that not only someone had killed herself over two people had killed themselves over FeGhost, allegedly, but also that FeGhost was seemingly a sex pest.
You guys called me a sex pest. What FeGhost did was not just being a sex pest. SAing people up to the point where they off themselves, 2 of them, is a lot worse than just being a sex pest. At first I thought it was only 1 person offing themselves, but now I'm being told it was 2.
So for context, Spoctor came to me, like, just after this shit happened. I think it was in January or something. And additional context, December has, for the last decade, been the worst fucking time of the year for me, and basically all of my friends know that. Like, a good chunk of my friends know that I deal with abuse in my home life, and that December's not a good fucking time of the year for me.
Aww, Ponder was in a dark place, so she looked past what Spoctor and FeGhost were doing for several years. And if you're dealing with abuse in your home life, which can range from physical abuse to emotional abuse to religious abuse and everything in between, then get a job and move out. For the love of God, you're in your 30s.
You refuse to acknowledge what you actually did. Because, FeGhost, what you actually did was take 3 friends who you damn ass fucking knew already suffered from mental health issues. And, like, I can't speak about Kylie and Chuli, but I think we all knew that I am stressed as fuck on a daily basis. You took 3 friends who were already in that state,
You manipulated them into believing that they were terrible fucking people, and you made those friends upon, like, questioning whether or not they had any right to exist, keep you around and coddle you, because otherwise you were gonna end yourself.
Well, that's completely untrue. FeGhost didn't manipulate you into thinking you were a terrible person. You already were. You kept FeGhost around, who you believed to be a pist murderer. And on top of that, you coddled them. You have the gall to use your mental health as an excuse. What stress do you deal with? You don't work. When this call first came out, I was also disappointed in Lio and Peaches for not saying anything about this, just sitting there and listening. This was the exact moment I started distancing myself away from Lio and Peaches.
Every time she tells the story, it's, I told my friends that I sexually, I groped 2 girls at a party, and like one of them killed themselves, and my friends stayed my friends and they protected me because they were friends. That makes us sound like a bunch of fucking jackasses who protected an active predator, and that is not how that went down, and you damn ass fucking know it. And if your memory is so terrible that you can't remember that is how that went, then why the fuck are you talking about it?
If you seriously can't fucking remember key details of your calculated actions, you just need to shut the fuck up.
Like,
for
she's
once in your
masking-
goddamn life.
She's masking it under the, oh, my friends were so nice, they weren't mean to me, and they protected me, and blah, blah, blah. But the narrative spun to literally anyone who isn't us and wasn't involved makes us sound like we were protecting you despite knowing that you were a sick freak. And not that we were actively being manipulated into keeping you around because we thought we had already killed someone and we were worried it was going to happen again if we dumped you.
Okay, so FeGhost was still right. The only thing they left out is that they threatened to end themselves if you left them. I know I said this already, but if one of my friends told me that they SA'd 2 women up to the point where one of them KYS'd in Minecraft, and then they threatened to commit self-deletion if I left them, I would just tell them, good, do it.
Like, she dropped that she was suicidal. We tried to, like, immediately jumped in and be like, hey, we can talk to you tonight. We can get your mind off of things. Yeah. And she was like, well, I have to wake up early tomorrow, so I have to go to bed. Shut us down. I give her the suicide hotline. Kylie says, please just be safe. B says, please take care of yourself. And Jelly, as her fucking FeGhost, as her last message of the night, goes, no promises. And just leaves.
And what's the issue? That sounds like a win-win in my book. Again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I can understand a kid falling for something like this, but not someone like Ponder and Icy Hazard. They're a lot older than Julie.
You're feeding us stories about assaulting people, and I can just imagine you and your giant frame cornering girls in a bedroom.
Me too. And you guys let them stick around, and Ponder financially supported them.
If somebody came into my circle, I would think and hope I would have the sense if they told me, hey, I tried to sexually assault people, you'd be gone? Whether I thought it was real or not, because we've had freaks come in and say horrible things. And we didn't sit there and allow them to continue.
Wow, Lio, I totally agree. It's kind of weird that you're not questioning why Ponder and Icy Hazard and Julie are doing this. To this day, I do not know how this flew under the radar. When I heard this call and saw no one calling it out, I thought I was going crazy. But now with everything else we know about Ponder, there's no way she can just sweep this under the rug. Lio Convoy isn't even willing to sweep for her at this point. I wanted to be friends with you so badly for years, but now I'm happy I didn't. Honestly, you letting me shake your hand violated my boundaries. I had no idea about all the awful things you did, and you actually let me reach out and touch you. I don't like to play armchair psychologist. It's not really my place to do so, but I'm going to make an exception for Ponder. When she was very young, her dad left her, and that more than likely gave her abandonment issues. In her adult life, she found friends on the internet, and she didn't want to lose them. She was in a community that loved drama, but was very isolated from the rest of the internet. Then everything started changing. Doodletones got into a drama with me, and then right afterwards, she got into a drama with Mr. Medicare. The alt CC was created and they went after a lot of her friends. But then everything started to change a lot when the first Spoctor drama happened. Ponder saved the day, and that drama was the first time she really started growing on YouTube. At that moment, everything seemed perfect. But later on, she learned that Spoctor was holding on to the nudes of a 13-year-old past the point he turned 18, along with FeGhost telling her that he R-worded 2 trans women. She also found out tons of other bad things her friends have done, from drawing Cub to showing minors porn, to sexually harassing a 16-year-old, and more. She tried her best to cover up those things, or to move away from drama content, but it was already too late. Possibly after she saw what I did to Daft and Spoctor, she came to the conclusion that she was my next target. She convinced people I was stalking them at VidCon, because I shook her hand. Yep, we live in a magical world where I can find one person in a day, but not a whole group of people in 3 days. Ponder, I know what you, Harley, and Oranges look like. And yes, I saw you hiding behind Oranges. Her and her friends screamed when they saw me, and they cornered themselves on an escalator. I could have easily caught them if I wanted to, but I had no interest, so I just walked away. Trust me, if I wanted to catch you guys, I would have. But what would be the point? For real, I can't believe anyone fell for this lie from them. But unfortunately for Ponder, she became the new queen bee of the ArtCC. When you are at the top, you become the biggest target. Just look at Spoctor, Lio, Peaches, me, Cinnabar03, and more. Ponder, in an attempt to hold on to everything, lost what she had. Let's do a TLDW of everything Ponder has done. She attacked a small channel that was run by a POC 16-year-old, and she did this so she could talk about the Madame drama some more, all for clout. She let him get sexually harassed by others in her community, and did nothing.
In the most homey way possible, choke on my transsexual pink pube dick. You spineless, honorless shit puppet.
She fought for a guy who had CP on his drive past the point he turned 18. She covered up and paid one of her friends that she thought was a rapist murderer. She defended another of her friends that drew Cub Corn. And then she found out that her friends were in a Discord where they sent porn to minors, but she said nothing about it. Even after her mistakes were pointed out to her, she refused to correct them for months until she just quietly removed her videos. Then she removed comments pointing this out so her fan base wouldn't know what she did.
There was a comment that was asking her why she gets into slap fights or spats. I can't remember the specific wording of it, with teenagers. But then I had something else to go to. I can't quite remember that specifically. I just know that about 50 minutes later I came back and refreshed the tab, and the comment was gone. I had a hunch, but I had no evidence. I didn't screenshot anything. The next day, I made an alt account named Artful Cherry, and I went to Ponder's comments, and I made a comment somewhat similar to that one, but not quite the same, so it wouldn't be considered spam. A couple hours later, after I told my Discord members about it, asking them if they could see it themselves, I was then informed by one of the server members that they could not see my comment. In fact, I could not see my own comment when on my main YouTube account. I had to get back onto the Artful Cherry account to see my comment. I asked my server members if one of them would be willing to make a comment in a similar light of criticism, just to see how long it would last, if it would even be removed. This was the comment that she left. I then went to check if I could see this comment, and I could. Another Discord member went to check if they could see the Buns comment, and they could. But just 15 minutes later, Buns went on YouTube using the YouTube Incognito, which functions as a separate account from your own. And shock of all shocks, she couldn't see her own comment, providing a screenshot of that into my server. That same previous Discord member went back to Ponder's video to check if they could see the Buns comment. They couldn't. Buns could see her own comment on the account that made the comment. How peculiar. Just a few days later, August 23rd at 6 p.m., I noticed yet another comment criticizing Ponder on the same video, and I had the exact same hunch that it would disappear into the abyss of her sensitive feelings, becoming subtle censorship. So this time, I actually screenshotted the comment below, and I shared it with my server. The next day, that's when things changed. The Alejandra Jimenez comment mysteriously vanished overnight. Now, the number this time remained 109 because another user, Fairy Bunny, had commented on the video within the same time period that Alejandra's comment had vanished, basically replacing it for everyone else's feed. And returning to the YouTube comment finder website and linking Ponder's video yet again and typing in what Alejandra's comment said, Alejandra's comment no longer appears. And as of August 26th, when other people noticed that Ponder has been deleting comments, probably due to my community tab post trying to reach out to the aforementioned Alejandra, they went to Ponder's comments, bringing this up. only for those comments to get deleted too. And yet again, I have these comments screenshotted from the YouTube comment finder's perspective, and I have the direct links to these comments. Something to hide, maybe. It's hard not to be giddy about it. The tables have turned, and the person who was, 27, 28 lecturing me about, oh no, you shouldn't be deleting those comments, getting a dig at me for it, is now in her fucking 30s doing the same thing.
Ponder had a pretty great start defending Spoctor. It made her seem untouchable, but to keep that facade going, she had to lie more and more until she was trapped. Lastly, she called me racist in the middle of me getting pedo allegations, so less people would make videos defending me. And then she made up a rumor that I was stalking people at VidCon, all because I shook her hand. By the way, I didn't walk up to her. I sat down to eat some ice cream, and I saw her next to me, and then I thought it would be funny to shake her hand before revealing who I was. I didn't squeeze it or walk away as I laughed like a madman. She animated this and released it a year later at the start of VidCon, hoping it would make me angry and cause me to confront her about it in person. Clearly it didn't work. I knew the game she was trying to play, and I wasn't about to fall for it. But why am I making this video? It's because despite her being worse than me, and despite the fact that she is getting less than 1% the backlash I got, people are still comforting her and downplaying what she did. People are saying things like, she had a bad home life, she's on 2 medications, she smokes a lot of weed, she's sad, and shut up. Everyone has a sob story. No one has a perfect home life. And almost everyone has something mentally wrong with them if they make drama videos. If I did half the shit Ponder did, I would never, ever hear the end of it. Ponder never had to deal with someone photoshopping her grooming a 13-year-old. Ponder never had to deal with people calling her a rapist. Ponder never had to deal with people doxing her and using it to make a fake Twitter account of her saying that she raped her 9-year-old niece. I, on the other hand, had to deal with all of that. So by her logic, I should be able to do anything I want on the internet and never be called out for it. There are a handful of other smaller things Ponder has done, like privating her video getting another goat on the Ashley drama. I do not know the full details as to why she did this, but from what I've been told, she was approached by people behind the scenes who claimed they had issues with the video. Of course, knowing Ponder, she's going to be very vague as to why she took that video down, as well as to why she took all of her other videos down. And lastly, the cherry on top of this shit sundae of everything Ponder has done. Chuli, who I believe was 14 at the time, drew NSFW for Junkie, and he encouraged it. Ponder knew about this and said nothing about it. No wonder why she wasn't shocked by what she heard in the FCK. Then she started to talk about, porn with Chuli, who, might I remind you, is 1 year older than a cupcake. By the way, if my math is correct, Ponder would have been 25 when this happened. Now Ponder, I know you're deleting comments and you're trying to run away, but why don't you take some advice from, well, your past self about this?
He acknowledges that he removes comments that effectively don't agree with him or imply anything but the noblest intent. Which is hilarious considering his bias against Lemurs is very apparent from him openly harassing her and asking other people to send him her private information, thus betraying a lack of noble intent. That's what he's doing here when he says that he has been removing comments from his video. Lemurs even commented, and that comment is no longer on the video.
She said he was racist, therefore she wasn't going to apologize. Which, god damn it, nobody ever learns. By that logic, Penegrin, I don't have to apologize to or feel bad for you because you tried to ruin a teenage boy's life for petty reasons. I actually also spoke with Penegrin on Twitter and admittedly am a tad disappointed. We had an overall cordial discussion, but I gave her warnings about what would happen if she was trying to come back. People were mad at and were clearly still mad at her for vanishing like she did and refusing to say anything about the matter until now. Considering Stories is the biggest culprit here and she's still hiding in the shadows like a cowardly little monster, Penegrin would then become the new focus for everyone's anger because they can't focus it on Stories herself. The same thing happened to Atari when Penegrin and Stories first ditched. I warned her that this would happen, and also that my video was coming out soon so that she didn't get blindsided by it, and yet she still left. God, you tell a person the best way to get people to not be mad is to take the distrust in stride, apologize, and show progression with your actions, and she immediately sinks back into the same thing she did before. Don't even know anymore. People have a right to be mad.
I would like to say one nice thing about Ponder that most people don't know about. Aside from me, Soph the Neko, and Lyle Convoy, Ponder Ponder was the only other person who reached out to Ino, Cinny's victim, and checked on them to see if they were okay. Yep, I reached out to Ino and apologized to them, but Ponder actually checking on them and not being completely cow hungry gave me a lot of respect for her. I do find one thing humorous about this entire situation around Ponder. If Stories and Pentagrin didn't do what they did, Ponder probably never would have been exposed. If Stories and Pentagrin never called Spoctor out, Manus would have never called Spoctor out, and FeGhost and Junkie wouldn't have learned about the nudes of the 13-year-old that Spoctor was holding on to. And if they never found out about it, Ponder would have never found out about it, and Ponder would have never tried to cover it up. So due to very specific events, Stories and Pentagrin managed to take Ponder down, and I find that to be absolutely hilarious. Truly, everything is connected in this community. Ponder, when you first offended Spoctor, I gained so much respect for you, but unfortunately, I now know you only defended Spoctor because you thought about how much respect and clout you could get off of it, not because it was the right thing to do. I've already established that throughout this entire video. If you guys want more information about this, I would highly recommend checking out Akumu's videos on her. Of course, as I always say, anyone looks like a terrible person if you take all their mistakes and line them up in a row. Ponder still hasn't answered to, well, any of the allegations I brought up in this video, but when she does, I hope you guys actually hear her out. That does not mean blindly believe her, just hear her out. I would like to increase the budget of these videos, so if you can find it in your heart to donate to me on Patreon, that would be a big help. Anyways, let's get to the credits.